I'm really excited today to be introducing two incredible young women who have impressed me so much this year with their boundless energy and with their ability to achieve so much in a short space of time. I will let them introduce themselves properly, but just to say that Hind Hafuda and Eidel Malowicki are part of the Muslim Jewish Leadership Council's Young Ambassadors Programme. So that's a program where across Europe, a young Muslim community leader and a young Jewish community leader work together at a city level on a shared project for the year under the mentorship of religious leaders. Hind and Eidel's project is called Yalla City Walks and Talks.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar with us. My name is Hind, and I'm 23 years old. I am right now studying at the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna, arts and handcrafts, and also arts in education. And I'm working at the World Museum in Vienna. And actually, regarding interfaith, I was grown up in a Muslim Christian family, so interfaith was always a part of my life. And I think this is one of the reasons why I am also right now in the MJLC Ambassadors Program and working together with Eidel.
I'm also a 23-year-old student at the University of Vienna. I was born and raised in the Hassidic Jewish community, Vienna. And I'm active in Jewish culture, such as teaching Yiddish and giving tours at Stadttempo, which is Austria's oldest surviving synagogue. I'm also active in Jewish advocacy, whether it's the Austrian Jewish Student Union or the magazine Nutnik. But I've always been interested and involved in Muslim-Jewish dialogue. So it was only natural for me to join MJLC as well in 2023 as an ambassador alongside Hind, and we co-founded the Yalla project.
Our project is called Yalla City Walks and Sub-Projects. We want to tell you more about how it came to our logo. It all started in Sarajevo, where we met all together also with Muslim and Jewish leaders. And we were together, me and Eidel, on a walking tour. And then we find this logo, but it's actually not a logo. And this was the inspiration to create our own logo, which is also combined with Muslim and Jewish symbols of both religions. And we have the colors gold and green. Gold is an important color in Judaism, and green is also an important color in Islam. So we chose them. But green is also here because we will have the tours outside. So it is showing also the nature. And then we have this kind of flower, which is something that connects us, me and Eidel, because we were together in Srebrenica while our journey in Sarajevo. And we have both together today these flowers. And we find out that this flower is connecting us. So we wanted also to create an own flower. And so it came to this logo. We are here on a stage where we are commemorating the Srebrenica Remembrance Day of the genocide. And it was one of our first projects because when we were in Srebrenica, we found out that in Vienna there is a commemoration day, Remembrance Day, and we joined the Peace March. And afterwards, we also had a speech on the stage where we were talking about our journey to Srebrenica with also the Muslim and Jewish leaders and what we experienced.
That leads to our main project, which is called Yalla City Walks and Storytelling. That includes interactive Muslim-Jewish walking tours through Vienna. And those tours highlight overlapping points of Muslim and Jews in the history of the city of Vienna, as well as their relevance to current debates. we also try to include culinary traditions and to make it very interactive. So the idea is to explore each other's history and identify overlapping moments, because we believe that by learning more about each other's local histories, we foster mutual understanding and awareness, and also embrace a strong culture of remembrance. To make it a bit more tangible for you, we might tell you the story of Muhammad and Anna. Muhammad was a Muslim doctor who saved a Jewish woman, Anna, in the Holocaust. And he is one of the just among the nations. We want to tell that story to the public. But there are plenty other stories of those overlapping moments of Jewish and Muslim history here in Vienna. And as we mentioned in our introduction, we're both tour guides, so we both understand the importance of historiography. And I think we're all aware of the importance of narratives from minority perspectives in reshaping our understanding of the past. So we believe that by recognizing and acknowledging each other's histories, it can be both the struggles and the cultural richness. We can come closer to one another and foster greater understanding and empathy between communities. And that also led to the extension of Yalla City Walks to Yalla City Sports. It all started with the experiment of Hind and I biking to Bratislava all the way from Vienna. It was quite an adventure because we ended in quicksand. We will never forget it. But on the other hand, it did bring us closer. And that was the first organized Muslim Jewish block in the Women's Run in Bratislava. As you can see here, it's mostly Hind's friend at that point, but we were so inspired by it that we decided to bring it back to Vienna. You can also see that we have the t-shirts with our logo. And now in Vienna, we signed up for 4 official runs here in the state. We have the Winter City Marathon, for example, the Women's Run, and we managed to recruit and mobilize 20 people for the next run on Sunday. So we have approximately 10 Jews, 10 Muslims. Sometimes people ask me, how did you manage to mobilize so many Jewish runners? And sometimes Hind also gets this question, really from diverse people, adults, children, religious and non-religious people alike. And just yesterday, someone told me that the chief rabbi of Austria wants to run with us. So I'm going to give him a call and tell him he should bring his family and children along. But yeah, it's going to be quite fun. We're going to run all together. And of course, this has more potential of, for example, building a Jewish Muslim football team. Someone asked me if there's going to be a football team, but we can always extend it. And that's why it's called Yalla City Sports. And the idea is that sports connects and transcends religion. And as we've also seen earlier, movement is a consistent theme throughout our journey and in our efforts, in our joint efforts. It all started with a walk in Sarajevo, and it continued with a run in Bratislava and now in Vienna as well, where we have many, many people joining us. Here's just a picture of Hind and and the others after the Women's Run here in Vienna. This is part of Yalla City Talks, because that was part of the Jewish Cultural Day, where we went to sit on a carpet and talk about Muslim-Jewish dialogue with random people who came to sit with us. But it was quite a nice sunny day.
Here we have a picture from the mosque in Milano, or one of the mosques, because we had a trip together, me and Eidel, to visit the Muslim and Jewish people there and have a great dialogue with them. And at this day, we were attending the Friday prayer together. And afterwards, we had an interfaith dialogue all together. And one of the really beautiful quotes of Eidel, which really touched me, were that she told to everybody on this day that she is feeling at home. And that was so, so nice.
And over here, we're talking with Erasmus Plus students from all around the world.
And here we were visiting the European Quran exhibition, which is right now actually at the museum where I'm working. And we had the Muslim Jewish tour throughout the exhibition, and afterwards we had also a very nice workshop with Arabic calligraphy and ornament. And this is something that really bonds the people when you also bring arts.
And of course, we have visions for the future. It's just a start. We thought that it's going to be a year-long project, but we realize it's just the start of many, many years. We want to have a website and Instagram because we want to upload our material so that teachers can use it when walking through Vienna. What are moments that aren't talked enough about when it comes to Jewish history, when it comes to Muslim Jewish history, or just Muslim history here in Vienna?
Thank you so much, Hind and Eidel, for sharing everything that you did. There were lots of really interesting things that you mentioned, from narratives to how to get chief rabbis involved in interfaith friends. Thank you for everything that you shared. What was the biggest thing that you learned from each other about your respective religions, about the importance of youth voice?
One of the really most important things was to believe in big ideas, because if you don't have big ideas, it will not go to such a big result.
Hind has many big ideas, and sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the amount of big ideas that she has. I thought it's going to be a year-long project, and now I realize that with Hind it's going to be a lifelong project. But yes, I think that Hind and I really complement each other a lot. That she brought the artsy side. She developed the logo and made it into something wonderful. And I, on the other hand, like typing, I like writing, I like researching a lot. So we always complemented each other. But one thing that we've learned throughout our journey is to build and utilize connections, and to also reach beyond familiar circles. It must not be your immediate contact, but also with wider communities, including those that may be more insular or unfamiliar. And of course, to embrace movement wherever you are. Maybe also to being mindful of religious sensitivities, such as avoiding scheduling events on important holidays. So in Judaism, you shouldn't schedule anything for Shabbat from Friday night to Saturday night, for example. But yeah.
And I would also say to create sustainable values for the future, to not do just a thing and end it with this one thing, to have something also for the people or the generations that are coming.
Audience, it is now over to you. I would really like to hear some questions from you, but to kick off your engagement in the session, we have an online poll, which I'm going to share now, with a question that relates to what you have just heard. So you've heard one example of an interreligious dialogue project, but we wanted to ask you a question about what challenges you think we might face when we are trying to get other people involved in interreligious dialogue projects. So think a bit about the initiative you've heard about from Hind and Eidel. Think about if you were delivering this or something similar in your community, what do you think the biggest challenges would be? Okay, we have our first response, which is prejudices. Prejudices, misconceptions, something of difference. Fear of the unknown and scheduling. Fear of difference.
Both Hind and I have always been involved in the interfaith dialogue for a very long time. So we've always tried to combat prejudices. But when you try to reach out to a wider community, you know that not everyone will be on the same page, and that from your own community, you will feel prejudices against the other community. So we feel that our job is to be the bridge builders, to bring people out of those bubbles and to tell them, look, do you trust me? These are my good friends. We can start something together. And I think one thing that really helps is to have a like-minded person. Like Hind and I are very like-minded, I would say. So we were able to be those two bridge builders. Because alone you can't, I mean, alone you can try, but it's always better to work in a team. So that's just one tip from my side. Something that I've also seen on the screen is scheduling. So we actually did have a problem with scheduling as well, because some of the runs take place on a Saturday. So we weren't able to participate in those runs because we know that many Jews keep Shabbos, so they wouldn't be able to participate. But we found solutions to that.
We have already some partnerships working on, and one of them is Christians in Dialogue. So we are working with them together on a little new project, and also for our walks, maybe we will also have some extra booklets which we want to do.
Very pleased to be today with such great champions like Hind and Eidel. So my question would be, you talked about thinking bigger, and this is great, that's amazing. So how can this initiative, from your perspective and the vision you shared with us, can continue to grow with other partners? And if there is any needs or aspirations that you would like the multi-faith sector or the development sector to support you with. But apart from this, congratulations, you're impressed. And I'm looking forward to the next Interfaith Marathon. Well done.
Because we are already working with some partnerships or partners, it will or has already this direction. And yes, I am looking forward for something bigger.
One of the goals is to work more with and collaborate with mainstream communities. That's very important. And of course, to work transnationally, as we've already been doing. We went to Milan, we went to Bratislava, but I think working on a European level and getting to know more communities and seeing what other people are doing is one of the aspirations. And of course, as we briefly mentioned earlier, we want to put everything online and make sure that it's sustainable, it's here forever, and that other people can make use of those materials as well.
I believe that every project is problem solving. There should be a problem in focus that you wish to solve with your project. So is your project focused to a particular, maybe locality where there is problem between the Jewish community and Islamic community that you want to solve? And are there measures to monitor your project for a kind of monitoring and evaluation to see how far you have been able to build the bridge to make sure that the problems do not recur? So are you focused, or you just do a project? You just do a kind of an elaborate project that has no a kind of bearing or focus? So are you focused on solving a problem, or you're just doing a project? I want to know.
One way we evaluate it is to look at the feedback that we receive after every project, sub-project. We also try to gather feedback. And also to see what's the turnout for certain initiatives, what's the growth rate. That's one way we evaluate it. We speak to people, we request feedback. And whether we approach this with a certain goal or just conducting dialogue, I would say it's kind of both. I mean, sometimes we just want to have a common space for Muslim-Jewish dialogue, but other times we have a certain goal in mind, which is, let's combat prejudice. Let's bring us closer. But yeah, it's a bit of a mishmash, as you can see, which happens sometimes.
I would turn the perspective a little bit, because we are making or preparing these walking tours in Vienna, where we were dealing with Muslim-Jewish overlapping moments. And with that, throughout history. And with that, we want to say that it was always part of our lives, and it was always part of a peaceful life of togetherness. The thing which really surprised me was that all these projects and sub-projects which we are doing together is something that really bonds the people. And at the end of every little project we have done, we have the feedback of all the participants that it is exactly the one thing that the people want to see, hear, and experience. And this is really touching and surprised me a lot. And I was not expecting that it will be in such a positive way. And I'm very grateful for that.
From my side, I think what was very surprising, or a positive surprise, is the fact that there was such a high demand for it, and how those dynamics between young Jews and Muslims can actually function very naturally. And you just have to bring a space that allows for that. And then it also develops its own kind of dynamic. So I was surprised by the fact that it's not just both Hind and I who are burning for it, but there are other people who are quite interested. You just have to mobilize them and give them that opportunity.
In order to close, I know you had a couple of quotes from the project that you would like to share. So maybe if we could get the presentation back to the last slide.
Okay, so I can read the one from Eidel. The president of the Mothers of Srebrenica Association told us, "We do not teach our children hatred, but love. How is it possible that women who have lost everything can find such words of love? If those who have lost everything have managed to do so, then we can as well. They are the best practice example. We are stronger than hate."
And here's a quote from Hind. "We should focus on our commonalities. Throughout history, we have often interacted in harmony, and everything flows when we're together in sync. Only together can we move forward. We must see beyond our differences and appreciate the beauty in what we share. When we come together, we create a space that transcends religious boundaries, a space of love, shared experience, peace, freedom, resources, bridge building, togetherness, and added value for everyone."
Beautiful quotes to finish the session on. So audience, please join me in thanking Hind and Eidel so much for sharing from their project, from themselves, from their learning. And thank you also to you for your brilliant questions that you've asked today. This is just a short insight into the kind of work that KAICIID is involved in, that the Muslim Jewish Leadership Council does, and we are excited to be about to launch our third cohort of Muslim Jewish Council ambassadors in 4 new countries. So please follow KAICIID on social media, follow the MJLC, keep up to date with Hind and Eidel, and if you can, join us for our 4th webinar, which will interview another young person from India. And everyone, join me in a virtual round of applause for Hind and Eidel.